This is day 798 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please come me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Taf Tzadik Tes, Sim Ches, Taf Kuf, Sim Zayin. And sound impressive in Hebrew, and does in English. 499 to 500. Okay, it's a Ches. Avatata Chalovim, to carry the forbidden fats, because of person mutter. Because it says mutter, they ain't mukta. Mukta, not mukta, nay, shurim adlocha, because use them to light a flame, as fuel for a fire. Yesh mishiksha, for candle. Yesh mishiksha, those who ask for besim to kav kufabis by the garine, ochlin and sunan tal af shurim adlocha, seeds within food. You can't carry, even though they're suitable to burn. Entertainment, it's not comparable. Food is not prepared for burning, for fuel. So therefore, vis-a-vis fuel, it's like a new thing. It's like nolad. Chalavim, you can't allow lokum into canola. Chalavim, what else are you going to use them for? They're only for lighting. If they're not like nolad, here's something about Magen Avraham, but not for us. They also wrote another reason to allow this. Since you have in mind to preserve them, that they shouldn't get lost. It came as low heavy canola gomer, since it's not like a complete nolad, like we wrote. It's this works and it's effective like it's taught vis-a-vis an avela which came to the Shabbos. When he ready, yes, they had a mind to give it to dogs. Those machmer of Magen Avraham. And before he said the star part I skipped was Pelish Magen Avraham Atzmo Kosas for a zoo. He himself writes that Chalovim are Karim Ladloka. So why does he not make them? He says Makilim. And my primary halach is like those who are lenient. And he says in Mash Min Biarnum Matur's Koma Shiksha, that which we explained. All the questions of Magen Avraham are resolved. The Mishnah says you're only allowed to carry them in order to put them away or in order that they shouldn't go rancid. The Mishnah writes that if it's Nishlat Erev Yontif, then I guess the Chalavim are mutter on Yontif, unless you designate them for commercial purposes and are makbid, not to use anything else, because then it's mukta because of machmas chesron kiss. If it's Shech and Yontif, he brings both opinions. I guess he doesn't determine which one to follow. Test. We talk to mutter concepts about sapil davar mukta machmas chesron kiss. You have to cut the meat even on something which is mukta because of chesron kiss. I guess some sort of fancy tray. Mutter tavlim nesim was only allowed to move it because you're going ali shu daf av kaved, such as an ali, which is that's discussing Gemara's mukta machmas chesron kiss. It's a thick and heavy board. El shekliu, but it is a vessel machtul iser, and it's a klisha machtul iser. Shasik dosh varifos. It's made in order to pulverize refos. I forgot what refos are. Yes, so it's bulgur wheat, burgul. It's made from kernels of cooked wheat, which are dried and then are pounded. So the refo, this is this thing which they use to pound those the bulgur wheat. Evidently, was muktzah machmas chesron kiss. She'osur the taslo afilu tzor guvim komo now it's got even tzor guvim komo. Which comes in shim ches v'itilu taslo. However, they allowed you to carry it. The katzil basar to use it to cut meat on it. Minesh simchas yontif, or to enhance your simchas yontif. Lachash katzav alav basar. Once you cut the meat on it, also taslo macham until now take it from the sun into the shade. I would so gufim komo itiru so mission made to close. And even it really shouldn't be able to allow move so gufim komo because that's only klisha machtul iser, not muktzah machmas chesron kiss. But in order that you should be able to cut your meat on it, they allowed you to move it after you finished. So gufan komo. But they didn't go so far as to allow you to move it from the sun to the shade, because you be careful not to come to the situation. They did not see that it's fit to be macho that. Long brackets. Arif Parakamakos the Din Ze Umasayim. The Rif concludes his discussion of this thing. Kilkin Parakol came as we set up Parakol came. But Roshkosa the Re Cholek Mission the Rabba Sham Kufko Gimel Havis Machmas Mukta Machmas Chason Kis. Evidently that it's Machmas Chason Kis, and you can't do all this. Risi Kokim to the Rava, the Zarak Mukta Machmas Isser. It's only because it comes to the Isser, not because Machmas Chason Kis. So it's like Klisha Machlo so which you can move, so it's talking come up. Pisa Enian the 7-8 close, you don't have to come on to. They allowed they allowed you to move it so Guvan Como, because otherwise you can use it beforehand to cut the meat. So okay, that maybe, but the Arukh HaShulchan says here Avanias died to come out a reef the Rava in a Chrech Shiachlo Rava. What the Rif is saying is that Rava does not necessarily argue Rava. Ma'amukim b'macham itself. And he talks about from the sun into the shade. Gankin hakavana karaba to have a muksa machmas cheson kiss. It is muksa machmas cheson kiss. Rakla guvam komo itiru so neit chalasim lo macham itself kidikosimna. But even though they're mat here at the end, so guvam komo, so as you do the beginning to cut the meat, they're not mako to take mecham itself from the sun into the shade. Tough kuf. Ketza koni basa b'yontev is any melichoso. How do you purchase meat on yontev? And how do you salt it? Aleph. Whatever you do it, it's well known. Shemecha menkor asa b'yontev. Not allowed to do commercial dealings on yontev. On Shabbos, just like on Shabbos. Basa tabach b'yontev. You could buy meat from the butcher on yontev. Leivsak doni on mekach. Don't stipulate a price on the item. No chermel oteni basa b'seller shtayim. Such as giving meat for a seller 2. There's a mekach umemkar garment, that's absolute commercial activity. If you my law range, you talking about seller b'shtayim. I mean, it says I like to partner with you, partner on a seller or 2. The ain't zeloshem meklau doesn't sound at all like a purchase. We come across nevertheless came to Moscow most. Since you mentioned a sum of money, mimela have you come mekach umemkar. It automatically is like mekach umemkar, but also it's forbidden. Close the general petition as course most also the gamre. Mentioning money is also together. I feel below Lashon Mekach below Mishko. If you don't mention the language purchased, and you don't mention and you don't do any weighing. Pays the case of konim. So how do you acquire meat? Omer tabach. You say to the butcher, "Take the chelik shlishi or v'im v'emus. Give me a third or a quarter of this animal." Or if yesh be'er shem, you'll do the chelik. Or if the cuts in this say there's no well-known names for the cuts. What you call chamesh lichos chelik, such as they call it's not the cut of meat. It's the weight. So they call 5 liter a chelek. Yochel ma'ateni chelek, or chatzi chelek, or shnei chalakim. They say, give me a chelek, and everybody knows it's 5 liters. And if it says chatzi chelek, everybody knows it's 2.5 liters, and so on and so forth. The butcher should give it without weighing it, but rather by assessing it, not without setting a price. And after Yontiv, you should pay based on what the butcher says. Or what the going rate is in the city. Also, the butcher can make it easier for him to deal with the purchases after Yontiv. Each one to take equal amounts of meat from this animal. You should put 2 animals which are the equal equivalent. Zukazu. Say this one's like that one. And you should select one and divide among them. The next day we reckon the value of the second one. How much it's worth. And you collect from them from the first animal, from the first towards the first animal. Shumas hash shnia, based on the assessment on this in the second animal. If there's some meat left, we assess based on the what else there was. And the That's the meat which is still there versus the meat which was consumed using the second cow as a point of reference, and you pay the difference. They can't say to him, however, whatever you take for this animal, we'll give it tomorrow for that animal. So that's also like commercial activity. Ella zu kazu, just say this is like that, which is of course cryptic of what we're looking for in this case. Lo yoser, not more. Gimel Yeshu means the Tem Helu Einem Elu Yisrael Lagabe Tabach Yisrael. It's only a Jew with a Jewish butcher. It comes from any Yehudi, but buy from a non-Jewish butcher. Also, if you below schum or whatever. Also, you're not to if you below schum dam, maybe if you don't mention the amount of money involved. Lomer lo mechzer shlish ravia. And even if you don't, you tell them half, a third, or a fourth, or even say lomar lo zu kazu. Say this like that. Talmud Shlover, he says, came in the Eno Rogel L'Shtatev Imo Todir. Since you're not normally a partner with this non-Jew, so therefore, let's quite openly like a commercial activity. She says that's only where the measure of the unit is not known, like meat, but something where the measured unit is standard, such as eggs and nuts, etc. You're allowed to take that chelek from the non-Jew if you don't mention to him any price. Back to a Jewish butcher can't sell to a non-Jew kosher meat in this manner. It's mekachu memkar. Near kol poskim moedim zel lezeh umikom makom yesh lahachmir. Wrong. There's ain't kol poskim moedim zel. Not all poskim do this. Umikom makom yesh lahachmir. Not to do this with a non-Jew. Which was passed similarly. And Sharatzina writes, according to Magen Avram, at the end of Shincha Beis, that the Bnei Chabura, when we know that they're makbid, then even without a lottery, it's usher, because he says Magen Memkar. So by a non-Jew, there's certainly makbid, and therefore it's usher, because he's never going to come to mention a sum. And he's astounded before him don't make that parallel. Okay, you should know that's permissible for the butcher to divide in portions. To give each person a portion without mentioning money. So they're not concerned with each other. A portion of one is larger. A little bit then for the second one, we're talking the dividing without lottery. In Mech Bakbidim, there are Makbid. Chokim Begorl and divided by lottery. Also, it's a bit just like Mishnah Berurah just said. We're afraid that by their being concerned with this, the ability they Mishko, they're going to come to weigh the meat. If they're Makbid and divided without lottery, if they are neighbors, so it's considered to be neighborly, and it's mutter. But if they're just a group of people, random people, below Gorel, even if they don't do lottery, also makmin, it's also if they are concerned that everybody gets their fair share. The Bahem Yesh Chashashnik Badasam, because of them, where there's a concern because they are makmin on each other, below Gorel, even without lottery, they're going to come to weigh. As opposed to neighbors. Okay, and back in Hilchos Shabbos. Hey, V'da, as you know, the Makor Kol Adin Mishnah is Baru, the source of all these halachas. When we Mishnah Reish Per Gimel, which is the beginning of the third pair, not any min abeim achatchil b'yontif, one does not take the initial division of the animal, subscription, I should say, to the animal, a yontif. You would subscribe to the animal from Erev Yontif. Now you have to be shecht and distribute among them. Meaning, I'm going to ask, what is it that you don't subscribe? Ain't busking done me yontif. You don't specify set amounts of money on yontif. Meaning the low time of the yontif ain't even cloud likach basar if you blow pasuk. The other thing on yontif, you can't subscribe at all to take meat, even without setting a price. Dividing monos chaburos limnos chabura slita basar, certainly to organize a chabura to take meat. By meat, mutar afil yontif, mutar even on yontif. Psikas daim also yontif, just saying the price is also yontif, rak be'er yontif, only before yontif. Avushami omer halosif mosifin. It says you can add on, meaning chamishin, mishanas, and sora. There are 5, you can make 10. Ayin sham. Where the head comes explicitly, the also says chabura beyond the clean as basar. Now to make a group to buy meat. What's the word? Cartel? It's not the word. Syndicate. Now to make a syndicate to buy meat. I see it's going to tell you maybe you have to do it from before you have to rock. Beyond the claim, losifa chabura. You can add. There are 5 here. Beyond you can add another 5 on yontif. Answer the Arukh HaShulchan. That's not what our Shas learns. Come, nevertheless, Harash ba chashla Ramam. Rash was concerned with this Yerushalmi. B'Yarloch brings down Prichara said that even though the Rash was Cheshesh, we don't have the Cheshesh and a Machmer, although a Machmer Tavla Bracha. But Shonagah Mishnah, Chacham learned the Mishnah, Ein Mashkichem B'Kab Mazayin Chalikar. You don't use the scale at all. Shouldn't look at them great at all. Only by the Mechira, those that saying for a sale, you shouldn't look at it. If you're a Babaisa Besa, even a Babas in his own home, Shirotzi Dakami Bashi wants to know how much to cook. The main of Dakti B'Ma'at Chosser Yeser, the main of Dakti B'Ma'at Chosser Yeser doesn't care if it's a little bit off either way. Mida Shari, and with a measure, it's permissible. Chaygav, Simon Shinchav Gimel. Come in Mishkal Gamzeh Aser. If you measure displacement, it's okay, but the way is not good. The Mida Eno Nikar Zil Shem Medida. By measuring, it's not necessarily for purpose of measuring. I call it low should know thing Bekli Kamo Imaya knows him Bekli Acheres. And so he puts in this vessel, could put in any other vessel. Have a Mishkal Nikar Shul Shem Mishkal. Weighing is clear for the purpose of weighing. Voss is fit. If you take a bus of cup of lime, even when meat into the cup of the scale, not for the weight, but the Shom Menachbarm to watch it from mice. Lo Shen Kamaras Mishkan for the purpose of weighing. Also forbidden. You know, it's 9 Makam Mishkalam. If the scales are hanging where they're usually hanging in order to weigh. Rialacha seems to say that if it's another place, even if it's hanging, it's mutter, because that's a hecker, it's not the same place. So the Rabbeinu Yerucham saying things, but the Rambam seems to indicate that all hanging scales are also. Also the shkol cheleg can't weigh one portion vis-a-vis another portion. See if they're equal, and to not to know how they weigh. So what do you mean when you say you don't use the scales altogether? The gamre also was 9. Chacham totally forbade using scales. The near mishkal beyond but it looks like you are swaying on yontif, even if you're just putting stuff there for storage. Okay, Zion, if you're an expert and you can figure out the weight just by holding something, that's mutter. If you take the hand and you meat in your hand, lift it up, you're idana, put it down, no, it's weight. Mutter, it's okay. You can't take in one hand a weight and the other hand the meat. Let's see what balances. I reckon the weight, the kosher mishkal usher. Anything with is a scale, it's usher. No, not a scale. A weight. When you do it in your own hand. Anytime there's a weight, it's usher. Tabachuman, an expert butcher, who knows that his hand can be very precise. Also, low, he can't use his hand because it's his precision. I have a base of mutter, but if it's home, he's allowed to do it. It's not for commercial activity. The Tabachuman, an expert butcher who cuts slice sections. He knows when he's cutting to ascertain if it's a litra or a half a litra. He can cut us any way he wants, and the question doesn't be concerned. Yeshishmar, those who say shechol lamai tainli litra basar. First, give me a pound of meat, a liter of meat, a kilo of meat. Then we have the mishka lidah kamatzar. It doesn't mean that it should be weighed, but that the butcher should know approximately what he needs. Come over meat of siman shin chav gimel. It was brought down elsewhere by Mida. Well, then here's near the asa skiv shem mishka b'yontav. Arukh HaShulchan says can't mention the word weight on Shabbos. Mishka chamir tuva Mida, because weight is much more severe than measuring. Okay, it says brackets. That seems to be the Shani El Yerabba and in the Lechem Mishnah and the Mishnayos. Shmuel says that some of the Acharonim hold that you have to be careful, according to strict level of the law, be careful not to mention money, and certainly not the term measure, and no matter what. Nevertheless, you can't protest those who are classically mako because they have what to rely on. But it's appropriate to be machmir to not to mention midah or damim at all.